Morning, PT on Ice daily show. Happy Friday. It's going to look really weird today. I'm going to be looking back and forth. Got multiple cameras going here. We've decided to try and do Facebook Live and Instagram Live at the exact same time. So live here on Facebook, live over there on Instagram on the ICE account. So coming at you today from CrossFit Fenton here in Fenton, Michigan. My name is Alan. I will be your host today, COO of ICE, faculty member for the Fitness Athlete Division. So hope everyone has had a good week back to work. I had a little touch of the flu, as we might say, this past week, but feeling a little bit better today. Got some training in this morning. Today we're going to be rapping about all things fitness athlete. So today's topic is going to be talking about kind of what I've learned after monitoring my HRV with Whoop over the past 6 months. So we've talked about it a bit before. Mitch and I talked about kind of our initial impressions after having it for I think maybe a month back in September, October. But had some requests specifically from people over on the 8PHPT side of thing to talk about what my thoughts are after now having had it since the summer, having had it about 6 months. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about HRV, I'm talking about heart rate variability, so that beat-to-beat difference in your heartbeat. So for those who may not know, your heart doesn't beat, if your heart rate is 60 beats per minute right now, it's not beating every second. There's going to be some variability in there, and we like a lot of that variability. It tells us that the sympathetic nervous system is not in overdrive. The more variability, the better. That tells us that your body is able to kind of calm down from after being ramped up for a while. So a lot of research out there on heart rate variability that we can use it to stay ahead of injury. So we see declines in heart rate variability in a lot of different research now, before the point at which people get injured. So the heart rate variability is declining, and then they actually get an injury. And when we go back and look at that heart rate variability data, we see that it was actually on the decline for a long period of time. So we know now that we can use heart rate variability to stay ahead of injury and even things like sickness. My HRV was plummeting this past weekend, and I thought maybe I had a little sore throat this past Sunday morning, and I thought it was because I was out playing golf in a blizzard Saturday night at Top Golf, which just opened out here, and that was not the case. Started to feel worse and worse over this past week, and going back and looking at my Whoop data. So Whoop is a wrist wearable. Looking back at my Whoop data, saw that it is decreasing. It was decreasing every day, and I couldn't figure out why. Doing a lot more to try and bump it back up, sleeping more and more aerobic exercise, but it was just trending downwards, and then I ended up actually getting sick. So looking back at that data, I know that I was getting sick because my heart rate variability was declining, despite my best efforts to make it jump back up. So Whoop is a wearable. It's a wrist wearable. Wear it on your wrist. Whoop will tell you to never take Whoop off. Wear it all the time. Wear it while you sleep. Wear it while you exercise. Wear it while you're at work. Maybe take it off only when you take a shower. I keep mine on 24/7. It's designed to be worn 24/7. And what it gives you is 3 different scores. It gives you a strain score. So cardiovascular strain, which is a combination of kind of everything throughout the day that has an effect on your heart. So certainly exercise, ramping up your active moment-to-moment heart rate, but also fluctuations in your heart rate variability and your resting heart rate throughout the day. Through that, it's also able to look at that while you're sleeping and get a good figure for what's going on with you while you're asleep, and then combining those two together to give you what's called a recovery score. So you get a strain score, a recovery score, and a sleep score. It's also measuring temperature, so you can see maybe here, it's got these kind of grippy things on it. So it's measuring your temperature, and then just like any other wearable, it's measuring things like acceleration and GPS, so it's measuring your active movement. So it's combining all those things to give you a strain score, recovery score, sleep score. Things I have learned over the past 6 months. Someone asked me the other day over on APHPT, what has it changed about your life? And I would say, without exaggerating, that it's changed everything about my life. Certainly the base of all the changes I've gone through over about the past year has been starting CrossFit. But as far as how I approach training, day-to-day life, sleep, nutrition, the Whoop has changed all that for me. I'm the type of person that will just grind through stuff. And as we've talked on here before, as a type 6 person, complain about it, but just kind of do it anyway. Whoop, having that objective data from the Whoop has made me better approach sleep, nutrition, and training and kind of day-to-day stuff in general. The main thing I've learned is the amount of cardiovascular stress you can accrue throughout the day without exercising. So I've started, if you follow me on Instagram, you've noticed the past couple days I've started playing this game where I put a picture of my strain score up, and I have a little poll, and I say CrossFit workout or day in the clinic, right? And you have to guess which one it is, because what I'm noticing is that the stress you can go through in your day just standing still or just walking around, you know, in our role here in our profession, the PT clinic, is not very challenging physically, right? Standing and walking is a low capacity event for me. However, the Whoop is able to pick up those changes in my heart rate variability and my resting heart rate throughout the day and know that I'm stressed out to the gills in the clinic with patient after patient flowing through the door all day long, right? When Dave shows up 18 minutes late and Tom shows up 5 minutes early, and now I've got 7 minutes to assess Dave and try and make some change in Dave's symptoms and give Dave some new stuff to do and maybe show him how to deadlift, and I've got 7 minutes to do that because now I've got to jump over and work with Tom. So that's not challenging physically, right? That's not anything like an actual workout as far as cardiovascular strain goes, but the Whoop is able to pick up on those changes in my resting heart rate and heart rate variability and see that I am undergoing cardiovascular stress. So that's the biggest thing I've noticed. The biggest change I've noticed is just how stressful you can get during the day without even breaking a sweat, right? And now seeing that data, it's easy for me to understand how somebody can die of a heart attack that's in phenomenal shape at age 40, right? You can put a lot of burden on your brain and on your heart without breaking a sweat if you're in maybe the wrong job, the right place. I don't know how to phrase that. So just that what I'll call non-movement strain. And then on the other side of that, what I've learned over the past 6 months is that you can watch yourself get fitter with this thing, right? Exercises before that used to put a lot of strain on me, as shown by the Whoop, now don't, right? I check my Whoop after workout and I think, really? That's all I get for that workout, Whoop? Really? That's all you're gonna give me? And what that tells me is that the device isn't broken, I'm just getting fitter, which is good, is why we exercise, right? To get fitter. But just that over time, you can watch your fitness get better on Whoop, as it gives you kind of less and less credit for your workouts. And you can start to see how folks that are in really good shape will need to train multiple times a day to get that adaptation. Just doing the one workout a day may not be much for somebody that works out every day. They may need to start to do another session in order to build that strain and continue to cause their heart and their muscles to adapt. So the second lesson there is that movement strain building slower over time is evident on the Whoop. But the third lesson I've learned is all about diet. Certainly we've talked on here, Mike and the APHPT folks on Mondays with the Pop have talked a lot about diet. But what I can see on my Whoop in the data is on a day where I change nothing, where the work day is essentially the same, the training is about the same intensity, and my sleep is on point. The factor that I can notice and pick up the most is diet. So on days where I either undereat, where I don't get enough food, which happens often, I don't really get to eat the food I need to eat for the amount of exercise I do in the clinic. So most days I will undereat, often 500 to 1,000 calories undereating. So those days where I undereat, or those days where I am so underfed that I overdo it and I grab some bad food, I can see that next day on my recovery on my Whoop. I can see the effects that food have, especially bad food. So crappy food will take your HRV pretty hard. I can tell when I wake up and look at my recovery score that the pizza last night did not do me any good. I can see that when I get the chance, the amount of food I need and high quality food, things like salads and vegetables and fruit and minimal processed food, I can see that the next day my recovery score really skyrockets. And I think most importantly, kind of in the same vein as diet, is alcohol will destroy your heart rate variability. I have watched folks here at the gym, so about, I don't know, maybe a quarter or maybe a little bit less than that of the folks here at the gym now have a Whoop. And certainly I've seen a lot of you out there getting Whoops now. I see you guys on Instagram and Facebook posting about your Whoop data. I can see here in the gym folks who drink and folks out there on Instagram who drink, that heart rate variability just falls off a cliff when you have alcohol. Certainly right before bed, but also just a high volume of it will just destroy your heart rate variability. I've seen somebody go from 97% recovery, which is perfect, which is excellent, to 7% the next day, which is basically don't train, just take it easy, catch a nap, hydrate a lot, 7%, very, very poor recovery. And the factor in that equation was just having a couple of drinks. So alcohol has a big effect on our heart, more than we probably think. We certainly know the research now supports that really no amount of alcohol has any potential health effect. There were a couple papers that came out last year in 2018 that showed even the research that supported like a quarter of a drink from 2015, 2016, 2017 didn't show any validity. A lot of the research from last year showed that no alcohol is kind of the way to go if you truly want to be healthy, right? That a glass of wine for heart health is kind of not true. So alcohol tanks heart rate variability, certainly right before bed. Those of you I've talked to who've asked me about heart rate variability and kind of sleep and stuff, the common factor there is drinking before bed. The folks I've talked to who have pushed that drinking back to maybe a glass of beer or wine with dinner and then nothing after that a couple hours before bed have all reported to me not only increased heart rate variability, but higher quality and quantity of sleep. So we know alcohol plays a huge factor on our recovery and our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. And finally, the last lesson learned, jumping right on to sleep, is the Whoop has taught me more about sleep than I could possibly know. I talked about sleep on here a few weeks ago, how I've been wrong on sleep basically my whole life. But Whoop has taught me that not only have I previously slept like crap, I needed more quality and quantity because it was just showing up in my data that I wasn't getting what I needed. You need more sleep than you ever think possible. I've talked on here before about Why We Sleep by Michael Walker, fantastic book. But just knowing all the effects that sleep has and what Whoop does for you for sleep, not only showing you the data during your sleep, how much light, deep REM, but doing things like factoring your recovery and your strain for that day into your sleep and giving you actionable ways to implement that. So every night before bed, Whoop will give you a little message on your phone and give you your bedtime, which is pretty darn helpful. Most days I'm pulling into the gym or just pulling into the driveway when Whoop lets me know that it's bedtime. And most days of the week I have to ignore that because I still got stuff to do. But it's nice to get that bedtime. And what I think is really fascinating is that I'm at the point now where not only do I need 8 hours, but some days I need 9 hours. Some days it tells me 9.5. Some days it tells me I need 10 hours of sleep. And it's factoring in how much strain you've taken on that day. It's factored in the previous night's sleep, and it's factored in your recovery. So it's looking at multiple different variables to kind of tell you how much sleep you need that night. It has a cool little feature where you can say, hey, I just want to get by tomorrow. Like, I'm just going to go to work and come home and that's it for the day. So how much sleep do I need to get by? It has an option to say perform. So, hey, I do want to go to the gym tomorrow, or it has an option to peak. So, hey, maybe tomorrow I've got a 10-mile road race, or I've got a heavy CrossFit workout, whatever's going on physically. Hey, I've got a peak tomorrow. How much sleep do I need? And it's never been the case where I just for giggles, to choose, I want to peak tomorrow, that it tells me, think again, right? It literally says, think again. You are way beyond the bedtime you need based on your wake up time to peak tomorrow. So think again, you're not peaking tomorrow. So I always drop it back down to perform or get by. But it's shown me that, you need definitely 8 hours, but probably more. Probably, if you're exercising every day, if you're kind of active in your job as we are as PTs, we're always on our feet, we're always walking, we're not sitting at a desk very often. We're always engaged with folks, so we're always active. So based on our active jobs and our active lifestyles, you probably need closer to 9 hours of sleep every night. Certainly if you're doing some intense training, if you're a long distance runner or cyclist or CrossFitter, you probably even need 9.5 or 10 hours of sleep, which that's something over the past 6 months of having this that has kind of blown my mind. And on that vein, there's a lot of research that shows that sleep is the key factor in learning motor skills, right? So we see this at courses, especially our courses where we teach thrust manipulation. We see on that Saturday that some folks are looking pretty rusty. We're like, man, I hope you haven't been doing manipulation like that on people in the clinic. But then what do we see Sunday? People look great. People look phenomenal. Their hands look amazing. And Jeff will be the first one to tell you that he's always blown away by how much better people get Saturday to Sunday. And certainly on the fitness athlete side, we see this as well with teaching people barbell movements, whether they haven't done them in a while or whether they're just learning them. Saturday, it could be better. There's room for improvement. But Sunday, people show up Sunday morning, people pick up the barbell and do a front squat or a deadlift. And you're thinking, where was this yesterday? Like, it didn't look like this yesterday. What happened? Did that person go home and do 1,000 repetitions in their garage and that's how they got better? No, they probably went home and went to bed. And we know there's a ton of research that supports how much motor learning goes on with getting sleep. 30%, 40%, 50% improvements with motor learning and learning new skills and things, even in stuff that people already know, like basketball dribbling skills and ball handling skills in soccer. We see people improve significantly with just 8 hours of sleep. Michael Walker, in his book, Why We Sleep, will say, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice and a good night's sleep makes perfect, right? He says it's the greatest legal performing enhancing drug that no one in any sport is using, right? So sleep is incredibly important, and Whoop has taught me that it's one of the biggest factors we can take into account, especially with our athletic population, right? It's easy to come into the gym and work out for an hour, right? That's not hard, especially, CrossFit, the programming's done for you. You just basically get bossed around. You just got to show up and do the work. That's relatively easy. What's hard is to really get your nutrition and especially your sleep pattern. So that's what I've learned from Whoop over the past 6 months. So when I was asked, what has it changed about your training, your sleep, your whole life, it's changed everything. Having that objective data has made me kind of forced me to come to the table and accept that I need to sleep more, I need to eat better. And there are days where I need to watch my training. My recovery was down yesterday. Still feeling kind of sick, so I didn't train. I felt okay, I felt like I could train, but I decided not to train. That's a lie. I trained yesterday. That was Wednesday. Wednesday it was down a lot, and I didn't train at all Wednesday. I listened to my Whoop, even though I felt pretty okay. Just kind of had the sniffles a little bit, but I listened to the data and felt a lot better Thursday. And because of that, I could train last night. I'm feeling even better today. And because of that, going to train pretty darn hard today. Did a session already this morning. Going to do another one later. So having that objective data has really kind of revolutionized how I approach training, how I approach sleep, nutrition, and made me more aware of things like what I'll call non-movement strain, that your job can put a toll on your heart, and it can affect everything. It can affect your exercise, your mood, your diet, your nutrition, your sleep. It can affect everything. So that's what I've learned over the past 6 months of having Whoop. I will continue to advocate Whoop. There are a lot of other options out there. I'm not paid by Whoop. No one here is paid by Whoop. A lot of the faculty here have a Whoop. Jeff has one. Justin has one now. Justin just got one. Mitch has one. Sarah has one, and Zach has one. So a lot of us here at ICE have one. I know a lot of you all out there are getting them. I've seen you tag me in posts and stuff on social media. I know you guys are all getting them. There are other options. Brittany Crawley told me about Garmin. Vivo Smart 2. That sounds like the correct name. She told me she got that one. She likes it. I know a couple of you have, I think they're called Motive rings, which is a ring wearable. So that's an option too. There are a lot of more options out there. When we first started talking about this about a year ago, we kind of predicted that this would get more and more popular, and that wearables would become more and more popular and cheaper, and that's kind of become the case. So check it out. I think it's worth wearing. If you're somebody that's active every day, certainly you don't need to be a competitive athlete to benefit from this data. If you're just somebody that wants to live a very long time and at a very high quality, I think it's worth digging into some of this data and seeing what's going on. Make you more mindful of what you eat, make you more mindful of your sleep, make you more mindful of kind of balancing out day to day your non-movement strain and all that kind of stuff. Especially sleep. I think sleep, I'll say again and again, sleep is the thing that's changed the most for me from having this. I think I'll continue to try and improve my sleep. Started to cut out caffeine a lot. Definitely no caffeine after noon. Being more mindful of no heavy meals or exercise within three hours of bed. I never thought I would say this, but started to take hot baths before bed. Some folks turned me on to a hot Epsom salt bath before bed. That's helped me sleep deeper, making sure the bed is cold, the bedroom is cold. I keep it at 60 now at night when I go to sleep. All that kind of stuff is now stuff that I actively do to improve my sleep hygiene, and it showed in my Whoop data, so I know that it's working. So check it out. I think it's worth looking into. Certainly happy to help anybody find the right wearable or just rap more about this. Feel free to shoot me an email, reach out to me on here or other social media platforms. If you want to look at some of the data from Whoop, you can go right to their website. They do a lot of case studies and they put them up for free on their website, so it's cool to see data in action. We reference that data a lot on the fitness athlete side of courses. So that's all I got. So those are my lessons learned after 6 months of monitoring HRV. Last chance to sign up for Fitness Athlete Essential Foundations. We're going to close it down Sunday night. That course starts Monday with Mitch and I. We'll talk a lot about heart rate variability in that course. So if you want to get up to speed on heart rate variability, there's a whole lecture section on HRV in our course. If you want to jump into get your feet wet in the population health and promotion prevention side of things, the APHPT Introductory Course, we just launched that. The first cohort of that starts Sunday, so there's still time to jump into that. That's a great course. We cut the price on that, cut the time down from the 12-week certification course just to let people get their feet wet, and then if they want to pursue the certification after that, they can. So that's a great 4-week introductory course for $295. That course is packed full to the gills already. That's going to be a great time learning from Mike. You can catch Zach down in Charlotte, January 12th and 13th for Fitness Athlete Live. Mitch and I will be up in Minneapolis, but you missed out. That course is full already. And then you can catch Mitch and Zach on January 20th for Fitness Athlete Advanced Concepts. Dig a little bit deeper into all this fitness athlete stuff. If you're looking to dig a little bit deeper into programming and gymnastics and that sort of thing. And then finally, you can catch Jeff out on the West Coast in Victoria, British Columbia, January 26th, 27th. He's going to be up there at AMP Physio teaching lumbar spine management. So that's what we've got going on. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you just want to discuss HRV, learn a little bit more, feel free to shoot me a message. Otherwise, have yourselves a great weekend. I will talk to you all next week. Bye, guys.